Hey ladies and gents, this is Izdoiz coming to you with a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics Horde Wraith, Sorcerer for the Evil Horde action figure. And here he is. Just came from Mattel Collector. One of the last figures in the line that Mattel is going to put out, in addition to Tuscator, which I reviewed yesterday. And he's one of those big figures that you have to tilt the card back so you can see his face there, because it's kind of hidden, shrouded in the shadows. Horde Wraith is sold out, I believe, at Mattel Collector right now. They're having their big end of the year sale before they turn things over to Super 7. But no bio in the back, by the way. But, you know, things at the Mattel Collector store have a tendency to pop in and out and be sold out. Sold out doesn't always mean sold out, so maybe check it out and you will be able to pick one up. I found that things that have been classified as sold out rarely are, actually. But we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a whole new world with Super 7. And see how that works out. Horde Wraith, releasing him from his plastic prison. He's secured with a couple of these clear rubber bands. I can already tell there's lots of new tooling on this figure. Really like the way Mattel has been going all out with these last releases. Sorry about all that crinkling. And, you know, tooling them up nicely. They also have the Roton up for sale. And they're going out with a bang. Mattel is going out with a bang. Okay, here's one of the things that I was curious about. Horde Wraith comes with a clear stand, I believe, a hover stand. Snap that together, and he doesn't have legs. He's got this skirt with a hole in the bottom, so you can plug the stand in. See how that works out. I think that's the right way. It doesn't seem to. Doesn't really seem to fit in there snugly. Let me try this again. Fits into the base. I don't think that's coming out again. So, and you know what? It kind of worries me that if I put too much pressure on that clear base, that it's going to end up breaking, which is the last thing I want. It's, you know, it kind of seems flimsy to me, like the space is not going to be able to really hold up over time, and so I probably won't use it. It's not really necessary. I think the best way to do this would be to take a hairdryer and blow into that hole and loosen up the plastic there. And then when it's nice and loose, pop this part in, right? Shove it in there, and then you can have the Horde Wraith on the hover stand. So I'm not going to do that for the purposes of this review, but let me just mention that the stand appears somewhat flimsy, and I wouldn't trust it to hold up that heavy figure over time. So there's that. He comes with a single accessory, which is this staff, a Horde staff with kind of, it's quite, how can I put this, flimsy. I mean, the plastic is not rigid, it's very wobbly. Not sure why it has to be so thin, or why the plastic has to be so wobbly, but it is what it is. I like the sculpt on it. I like the design of it. It looks like a sort of a Horde crossbow up here, and it's got the famous Horde logo with the face, the Hordax face, and the wings, which I really like. So let's see how he's supposed to hold this staff, because it's so thin. Yeah, sort of like that. That looks cool. I like the look of him there holding the thing in his hand. He's got these gnarled, open hands. You know, I guess he's, whatever race he happens to be, he's not big on trimming his fingernails, and sort of ancient and gnarled by all the evil magic. The plastic here, oh look, his hand comes out. The plastic here is pretty soft and flexible. Let's see here. Should pop back in. And you have it twists right there at the wrist, so you can, you know, reach out and cast a spell. It's got good movement at the elbow. It's got the hinge, and it can swivel, and it's got at the bicep as well, and then the full range of motion, except where it's hindered by the cape that he's wearing. So the arm motion is pretty good. It's pretty wicked looking. You know, you could just see him like shooting lightning bolts out of his hands like the Emperor in the Star Wars films. I really like the face. It's simple. I like the hooded sort of, cloak, the hood, and the way those eyes, it's just a black, mysterious looking face and glowing, it's not glowing eyes, but they really pop out there with the bright yellow and the red outlining them. So obviously somebody who's scary and up to no good. Other joints, he's got the waist swivel, and he's got the ab crunch. So that's cool. And this tattered cloak, not a cloak, I'm sorry, it's a cape with holes in it. It's a little paint mishap here, and I wish they would have painted the cloak darker or added some shading, because it's sort of plain. It would have looked a lot better that way, and maybe I'll touch it up. I don't know, some shaded red or something. That seems to be lacking as far as the paint apps are concerned. And then up here in the front, because the cloak is a soft plastic, the sculpt seems soft to me. The sculpt seems really soft on the head here in the front, and you got a little bit more paint slop here on the wings. Not terrible. I would say the more disappointing thing would be the Horde emblem with that soft sculpt on the face. If I could cut this off and paste it on there, I think it would look better. I maybe even take a Horde emblem off of another figure and utilize that and just glue it on there, because this dinky sort of soft sculpt there, the face in the middle, don't know if you can see that well. It seems sort of distorted, and I don't know if it's the way it was pulled out of the mold or the way it was painted, but it's definitely not the best. And you know, and this black rubber, it would look a lot better if it had paint apps. There's a little smuts here as well, so we're having more than a few paint issues. They don't detract terribly. Here's another paint smudge here. They don't detract that terribly from the figure. The paint sponges don't bother me as much as the lack of paint apps on the cape. So the cape's not the greatest, but all in all, he's a cool figure, and he kind of stands out and is pretty unique. Comparing him to Horde Prime, which is one of my favorite figures from the earlier line. Horde Prime has the staff as well, but the staff is a lot more hefty and rigid, and it's not going to wilt over time. I don't trust this to hold up as well because it's just so flimsy and thin. So Horde Prime has a bunch of cool sculpted details. This is one of the alternate faces, but compare the cape. See, if you look at the cape for Horde Prime, there's those extra paint apps there where you have shading in the folds of the cape and along the sides, and it looks way better on Horde Prime. It's quite superior. There's a little paint issue there on Prime, but just Horde Prime just looks like more care, more paint app went into the figure, and it's just superior pretty much in every way. But the Horde Wraith is not bad, and it'll stand out on your shelf. And some of the weaknesses, I think, are the stand, the lack of the paint apps, the softness of the sculpt on the Horde emblem, which is a very important part of, his costume and motif, and greater care should have been taken on that. And then just the various paint slop and the flimsy staff. All right, that's it for my review, and this is Wiz signing off.